What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. The Detroit Pistons lost an absolute heartbreaker last night on a buzzer beater, a score of 108 to 107 to the Charlotte Hornets. We're going to talk about a couple players that I want to highlight from this game, go over where I think they could have played better, a couple things that I liked, and just do some general quick recapping stuff. So, nobody in this game for the Pistons played all that particularly well. So the first guy I do want to talk about is Jaylen Duren because he did exit the game very early with an ankle injury. In my pregame video, I said that I thought Jaylen Duren was primed to have a big game considering that they really are lacking bigs on the other team, being the Charlotte Hornets. Unfortunately, that prophecy was not able to be fulfilled as Jaylen Duren did exit the game after 8 minutes. He rolled his ankle on kind of a non-contact ankle roll, just came down for a rebound, rolled his ankle. He came out of the game, tried to come back in, and then exited and never came back. So hoping that everything is okay for Jaylen Duren because definitely want to see him being healthy and being able to play. So that is definitely something to monitor here over the next couple days, going into tomorrow's game, into Sunday's game. Really hoping that we can get him back sooner than later. So the second player that I do want to talk about is going to be Cade. Cade had a triple-double on the box score, but there was a lot left to be desired from Cade's game tonight. He did finish with 20 points, 10 boards, 10 assists. He was 9 of 23 from the field, and that sounds like, okay, 20 points, 9 of 23, maybe not the worst scoring night ever, but he started off the game like 8 for 10 in the first quarter and completely got just iced out and could not score the ball after that first quarter. In the first quarter, he was really taking advantage of the fact that the Hornets defense is not very great and they had a lack of rim protectors, so he was getting to the hoop and scoring at will in the paint. And then rest of the night, he just was not able to do that. He was never able to find his shot. He was 0 of 4 on three-pointers. Really was often trying to use kind of his back to the basket game to keep going back to that paint in the second, third, and fourth quarter, and it just wasn't working. In the fourth quarter, when the game was on the line, he only took 2 shots, so I definitely can't say this was one of Cade's good games. I would actually say this might be Cade's worst game of the year. Maybe people would feel otherwise because of the triple-double on the box score, but just based on the eye test and how that game finished and how he performed in the fourth quarter, I was not particularly impressed with the way Cade played tonight. Am I worried about this going forward for Cade? Not really. I think that he's shown us enough in the other games this year that I'm still as optimistic as ever about him, but I just don't think this was a particularly great game for Cade, but would love to hear if anyone feels otherwise, especially because he did finish with a triple-double. Sorry about my dog there. Someone's outside doing something. Zeke. It's okay, buddy. Zeke, it's okay. Yes, my dog is named Zeke. Zeke, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. Sorry, guys. I'm going to keep recording this, though, because I got to get to work. All right, third player I want to talk about is going to be Ron Holland. Ron Holland finished the game with 8 points and 2 of the biggest points of the game. In case you guys were not able to catch it, pretty much what happened was it came down to the last possession where the Pistons were down 30. They allowed the Pistons to get an easy run-in dunk to cut the deficit to 1. And then the Pistons ended up having to try and foul, but before they fouled, they sent a double team. That led to Ron Holland getting a steal and getting a go-ahead bucket in transition. And was just really impressed with Ron Holland's 16 minutes. And most importantly for me, he was 2 of 3 from the three-point line, one of which was a step-back 3. I felt pretty good about Ron Holland's shooting mechanics so far this year. Of course, the shot has not really been falling, but 2 of 3, I think, might build some confidence for him from the three-point line and can hopefully get him trending in a better direction for three-point percentage on the year. And the last thing I want to see is teams just willingly leaving Ron Holland open, causing problems for other players. I know a lot of people have talked about potentially using him as a roll man, things like that, but I do want to give it a little bit longer personally, just to see if he can be a formidable three-point shooter, because I think it's possible. And tonight showed that as he did knock down 2 of 3 on threes, and then also made the biggest bucket of the game that probably should have went to a win. But of course, the Pistons were unable to box out in the last second and lost on a tip-in. So one other player I do want to talk about, I don't have a picture here pulled up for him, is Paul Reed, because Paul Reed did play 12 minutes after Jaylen Duren could not return. In those 12 minutes, he was 6 of 6 from the floor with 13 points. He had a big steal and a dunk in crunch time as well. I thought that Paul Reed played a really good game. If Jaylen Duren is not able to play in the next game or a couple games, I think that it will be exciting to watch Paul Reed get some rotational minutes, because I think he is capable of handling those despite not being a perfect player. So outside of that, realistically, this is a really hard game to stomach, because the Pistons were able to have a chance to win their third game in a row, which is something they have not done in 2.5 years, and they were 1 second away from doing it. So of course it's always going to sting. I know that when I joined some spaces on Twitter last night before I went to bed quick, I was hearing other Pistons fans. A lot of people really wanted to focus on that last play. Why was JB not playing this person? Why was this person on the floor? Why didn't Tim Hardaway box out? All this. At the end of the day, I'm not going to really stress over one play, despite that one play having a lot of consequences, because I really felt like overall this game was very, very winnable, and it shouldn't have came down to that anyways. I don't think really too many players on the Pistons team, barring a couple, played very well at all tonight. I think that this was a game that they should have won, not even talking or thinking about that last play. I think that they should have won this game by a couple possessions. I think the opportunity was there to do so. They just weren't really able to execute in the fourth quarter at a super high clip, despite a good enough clip to get themselves a lead for the last play. And I also think that throughout the entirety of the game, there was a lot of opportunities where they probably could have taken off and built a 10, 15-point lead or something a little bit more sustainable, and they just weren't able to do it. So I just kind of want to put this one behind us and get on to the next game, because I think that better things are ahead, and not every game is going to be a great game, and I just don't think this was one of them. So outside of that, do want to talk about LaMelo on their team. He played a really good game, especially in the fourth quarter. He had 15 points in the fourth quarter to Cade 0, which was kind of a storyline of the fourth quarter and the night. A lot of people pointing to that and overreacting. He's just a good player. He's really hard to guard. I think that on a couple plays towards the end of the game where they were going back and forth, and LaMelo was able to get switches from bigs onto him and just absolutely cook him, was kind of tough to watch. And really all that kind of reminds me of is I hope Asar gets back soon, because if there's anybody up and down this roster who can cause problems for players like LaMelo, it's Asar. And of course we have yet to see him this year, so hoping we can get him back soon. But yeah, that's really it. No other huge takeaways from this game. Just want to get this one behind us. I wanted to wait for the morning to try and make a video for this game recap, because I was a little bit upset last night with the way that one ended, and just felt like I'd probably be able to be a little bit more concise and less of an overreaction by waiting for the morning, and I feel like I was able to do that. So let me know what you guys think now that it's been probably 11-10 hours since the game has finished, and I'll catch up with y'all soon.